All right. So, hello, everybody. This is 11th grade college planning night, part one. This is the college search process that we'll be going over tonight. In the past, actually, now a number of years ago, we used to do everything all at once in the fall. We did the search process plus the application process. And the feedback from parents was we were making them drink from a fire hose with a lot of information. So we've done it in kind of two ways. This first one, as I said, will be about the search process, what you should look for, what you should be doing if you haven't already started between now and really the spring and into the summer. And in the spring, we'll announce probably at the end of December when we're going to do part two, which will be the actual application process. So please keep an eye out for that. I'll be sending out an email with all of our spring and late winter and spring events for the guidance department. Oh boy, my thing's not working very well. There we go. So before we start, I just wanted to once again introduce our staff here in the guidance support team. And the guidance counselors are here with us tonight. So we have Ms. Prue, who has last names A to F, and then anybody that's working in the GRIT or SAIL program. She also takes care of our early college programs. Then we have Ms. Bates, and she does last names G to M. And then folks that work in that have DHH and the STEP programs, and she assists all students with dual enrollment. Then we have Ms. Bowman, who does letters N to Z, and she works with students that are in also in DHH and Reads in the BEST program. And then Ms. K is our school to career specialist. She's, if you've come to the school, she's what we are in what we call the bubble. And she helps us with things like internships, career day, opportunities fair, work study, part-time jobs. She helps bring in the military for lunch presentations and so forth. And then we have Mr. Marchand, who's our administrative assistant and guidance, and he keeps us all running. To be honest with you, helping out with transcripts and community and other duties, keeping the kids organized for all of us, and keeping track of who needs to see which one of us at any given time. And as I said, my name is Vinny Searcy. I'm the Director of Counseling and Therapeutic Services for the entire district. But for the high school, I also oversee the guidance department. So tonight we are going to be working on these objectives. We're going to explore how to explore career interests using Naviance, which is our do-it-all tool system that helps support not only searching for careers in college majors, but also for searching for colleges, sending out our transcripts in the letters of rec. How to search for colleges and universities, creating potential college application lists on Naviance. The importance of connecting with colleges and the various ways you can do that. SATs and ACTs, and kind of what's the student's responsibility, family responsibility, and what we will be doing with the students as they go through the process. Ways to stay connected with us. Each class, so starting their freshman year all the way till the end of their senior year, they each have their own Google Classroom based on their graduating class. And here we provide them from the beginning with different information related to the college planning process, to some of the things that Ms. K does, like I was talking about in terms of visits by businesses. We have some really good programs that we run for the trades, kids that are interested in the trades and so forth. So any of that kind of information we have up on there. But really, a lot of the work is around college planning, deadlines, reminding them of deadlines, admissions visits that are being scheduled with reps, any community service opportunities, and I said, and a lot more. So it is really important that students stay on that classroom. If I was a parent, I might ask to see that occasionally, or even ask for the password, but that's just me. And then the other way is we do have a college planning guide. You can go to the high school website. Again, go to the John Atwood Student Support Center, which is the guidance department, and scroll down and you'll see the College Planning Guide, and that's a pretty in-depth, step-by-step guide to everything college, including first generation, some of the financial aid materials, along with the kind of step-by-step on how you go through this process. And as we're saying, we're going to give this to you kind of the beginning stages here. There is a lot to it. However, if you take it kind of one step at a time and stay organized, this process is a lot easier for you as well as your student. I'll turn it over to Ms. Prue.
Okay, so what is Naviance? So I know Mr. Searcy had already talked about Naviance a minute ago, but Naviance is the platform that students had gotten on their freshman year. They may have done a little bit with it, but now really starting the end of junior year and senior year, they're going to be using it a lot. It really is the tool that we use to search for colleges, send transcripts, send school reports, get letters of recommendation, create those college lists, all of that. So they're really going to start using it more this coming year. And then, like I said, getting set up in Naviance, all the juniors should have already used their account and know how to log in. They've probably been into it a number of times. They may have forgotten their password. So that's something that we can easily help them with because we do have access to Naviance. We can reset their account. Mr. Marchand down in the guidance office can do that as well. Any of the other platforms we do end up talking about, we don't have access to that, but we do with Naviance. So we can definitely help them with those. And once you get onto Naviance, this is the home page. And when you see across the top, we're really going to be utilizing the colleges, careers, and self-discovery tabs, but we're going to go to the self-discovery tab first. Once Mr. Searcy clicks it over. All right, so the self-discovery tab. So on here, there are a couple different surveys and activities to help students really hone in on their interests, things that they're good at, ways that they learn, different things to help them take those things about them or what they find interesting, and then connect them with different career paths or careers that connect with those interests and intelligences and even their personality. So some of them they may have already done, some they may do with Ms. K, and some they can actually go in and do themselves if they really need help figuring out what would I like to do. And so the two that we typically use a lot are the Career Cluster Finder and the Career Interest Profiler. So these really take your interests and your personality traits, and they connect it with different career fields or like career matches based on your interests and your personality traits and ways that you learn. So when a student's like, I really don't know what I like to do or what I want to do, it gives them kind of a general idea of a career path, and then they can hone in on certain specific careers and jobs that are connected with their interests and different personality traits. So another person that can help is Miss K, and she does a lot of those surveys as well. And she has other ones that she uses also. Sometimes it's good to kind of do a couple, but she really helps with career exploration as well. Like I said, so some of those surveys, resume, cover letter writing, job applications. So some students at this point are really saying, I want a job, or I want to get into a trade, or I want to get into like probably a CNA class. She is somebody who can definitely help with that. She helps with interview prep. She does help with internships with students junior and senior year, different job shadows. Again, if you're really not sure what you want to do, shadowing somebody is great to go in and to kind of see what their day-to-day is like. But Miss K will definitely help. She works alongside us, and she's down in the bubble, that little glass room. That's kind of the fishbowl. But if you just email her, she will definitely make an appointment. Or if you come down to us because you really don't know how to connect with her, we can help you connect as well.
And this is really, I think, where we could use your help because Miss K does all kinds of pretty creative things. Like, for example, she has Electric Boat come out usually in the spring, which is a great company in terms of exposing students with all kinds of different interests to the world of work and the world of what's possible after college. So when they come out, they talk about everything from needing welders and pipe fitters to administrative assistants to business, like working in the business department, the marketing department, engineering, computer
Engineers. Yeah.
science. What's that?
No, I said engineering.
Engineering, yeah. I mean, building submarines, and so they give them an exposure not just to electric boat, and they're trying to recruit, obviously, but to the variety of possible jobs. And she does those kinds of things. She has it's a Zoom webinar, but for folks that are interested in possibly joining the educational field, so teachers, speech and language, OT, those kinds of opportunities. She's done stuff about CNAs. She's had folks out to explore the world of being a realtor, all kinds of other things. So those get posted during in the Google Classroom. And we really encourage students to take part in join those. Usually they're run during LLB. Occasionally she has folks that also come out and have tables out during lunch just to talk to kids about different opportunities. So, those are the kinds of things that we offer. Because again, even though this is about college, we know some kids are exploring at this point, do I want to go to college or do I want to look at the trades or some other opportunities? So she definitely tries to, along with the three folks here, tries to keep kids engaged in lots of different ways of looking at their post-secondary careers. So, all right, moving on.
So then on the other spectrum, if students are looking at colleges or even trade schools, so you can find community colleges, trade schools, four-year schools, universities here, but they do offer a couple different search engines. There's the College Lookup, the College Match, and then the Super Match. The Super Match really is the best one because they have a ton of different filters. You can do a search, you can save it, and really look at different schools and then find schools that are similar to ones that fit that criteria as well. So we're going to get into that next.
And I'll take over from here. Thank you, Ms. Rue. So this is what it looks like in the Supermatch search. Again, like Ms. Prue said, this is definitely highly recommended for students looking for colleges. It's a great tool and it gives you a lot of different criterias. Things like location, you can kind of go broad and like the South or the West, or you can go state by state. They have hundreds of majors available to choose from in the academics tab. A range of admissions. You can do it by how big or small you want the school. Are there any particular sports or clubs interested that your student wants to do? And then even some like resources. So that could be academic resources or therapeutic resources in the school. Those are all the things that they can search for using the Supermatch tool, which is, again, we highly recommend to use this tool. Once you put in your criteria, it comes up with the list as you kind of see the two boxes below. It says what the name of the college is, where it's located, and a brief explanation of the different criteria that it has. One of the things that I think is kind of important to know is that Naviance considers your student's GPA when providing these schools. So they give you, for your first options are going to be the schools that your student is a match school. So if you're looking for more like safety schools. So those are the schools that you have a better chance of getting into. You just have to kind of keep scrolling through and you'll find them down below. But this is kind of like a list of what colleges match your criteria. And once you find a college that you're interested in, you can click on the name and they'll show you what it looks like in the next slide. So when you click on the college names, it brings you to the college individual website. And there are websites for every college. I think there's over 2,000. And it gives you like another brief explanation of details within the college. It talks about the price. It talks about what majors are available at that college, the acceptance rate, who makes up the students in that college. And then it also provides the deadlines, so you can kind of start seeing what the deadlines are. And then also, most importantly, is the admissions section. So right now you're looking at what we call a scattergram for the admissions section. And we just wanted to kind of show parents and guardians, and those are kind of the caretakers of our students, what a scattergram is and what that means in terms of reach, match, and safety schools. So ideally, lists for colleges have a couple of reach schools, a good portion of our match schools. So those are the ones where your student fits right in that average range. And then a couple or more of the safety schools. So those are considered schools where the average student, your student is above the average student. So right now we're looking at Boston University. This student's GPA, you can see the blue icon, that's the student. Their GPA is right around a 3.5. So these X's and check marks are all students who attend Norton that actually applied to BU recently. Check marks means they were admitted. X's means that they were denied. And then you may see a couple of those purple diamonds, and that means that those students were waitlisted. So for this particular student, and honestly, almost every student that I talk to, BU would be considered a reach school because they are kind of surrounded in red X's, but there are an occasional check mark. So I would definitely consider this a reach school, and you never know with BU. And this scattergram is for UMass Dartmouth. So for this particular student, this would be considered a match school. They're surrounded kind of right in that middle of the pack. There are green check marks all around them. So this would be a great match school. So those are those schools that are right in that average range for this student. And then finally, we have a safety school. So for this particular student, you can see that they're kind of above a lot of the green check marks and surrounded by it. There is a red X, but that student is well below where this student is. So this would be considered a safety school for them.
The one thing I want to say is just if you see the line where it says average GPA and then average SAT, I know that a lot of the schools are SAT optional. So a lot of times we're looking at the average GPA. So like this one is above that line as well. So they have above the average GPA. And then also if you do well with your SATs and it's above the average, that just kind of pushes you up a little bit more.
And then kind of finally, as you're continuing to do your research on your schools, we just want to kind of point out that sometimes acceptance rates can be deceiving. So this is a slide. We went to a webinar that all the UMass colleges put on, and this is a slide from UMass Amherst. Their total admission rate, so the one you'll typically see, is down at the bottom. It's 57%. However, UMass Amherst does their admissions by major. So each college or school is going to have a different admit rate than the other. So UMass Amherst nursing is highly selective at that 12% admittance rate, which is significantly below their average of 57. But then on the opposite hand, you have the humanities and fine arts and the social and behavioral sciences a little bit above in the 70% admit rate. So when you're doing your research, you definitely want to understand acceptance rates. Is this a entire school acceptance rate, or does it kind of break down by major? Typically, nursing, engineering, maybe even computer science. Those typically tend to be the more competitive majors. So just kind of thinking, making your lists. If you're kind of in those majors, you may want to have a larger list than some of our other students.
I think the other caveat is we strongly recommend you use the scattergrams and look at that safety school that should get into school and then you reach school. But we also want to say that there are occasions when those things fluctuate. So, for example, my son graduated in 2018. A lot of him and a lot of his friends applied to PC. Should have been right there, solid in the acceptance. I think one of them got accepted. The others were waitlisted, and it was because that particular year, PC was a very hot school. They received many more applications than they typically do. So, don't hold us or Naviance to, well, you said that they could get in, or you said it was a reach school, because sometimes those things fluctuate, and that's why we work to try to make sure the students have a couple of schools at minimum in each of the categories. So just wanted to put that out there because I think it's an important fact for folks to know.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I know our goal is just to make sure that students have choices after they get all their acceptances, not just one they have to go to. So by having a range of all the students, we can all the schools, we can help the students have those choices.
And I will take over. Thanks, Ms. Bates. So kind of recapping the conversation we've been having sort of as you're doing the searching process, and again, looking at those scattergrams of schools and just researching maybe majors you're interested in. Again, Naviance is really where you're going to live a lot of your junior into your senior year. So on the homepage, you'll find like a whole college section, and there really, there's a part where, you can list colleges you start thinking about. So as you're doing research on schools and you're finding ones that maybe that stick out to you or you're really interested in, this is a great way to kind of curate your list throughout your junior year, because it can help cross over as we start to meet with you in your senior year to kind of discuss more of what colleges you're thinking about. And this is a really great way as when you're curating your list to move schools to like ones that you're applying to, and it's a way to take some off your list. So a great way to organize yourself. And you may have noticed in a previous slide, I think it was like the Bryant slide, you'll find that colleges will have like a little heart next to their name. That's a super easy way. If you like a school, you just hit that heart to add it to your list. Again, a really great way just to organize yourself through the process. In the beginning of the presentation, we really talked about that, a lot of the responsibility beyond the student and really engaging with admissions and researching. So we always really, really encourage students, a way to kind of show that you're interested in a particular college is, completing like an online interest request. That's a great way, easy way to connect with schools and admissions office and receive information. Obviously, social media is a big piece. So following them on Instagram or that, on Twitter or those things, just to kind of get updates about like admissions and schools, maybe new programs are introducing, emailing, admissions within representatives in the area. So some schools, depending on how big they are, may have sometimes administrators that are like, particular to certain areas. And the biggest thing we always say throughout their junior year is really like, again, besides researching, going to college fairs, and, attending campus tours. That's a way that, they'll take note of when you're attending those tours and showing that interest. And even just attending virtual info sessions is a great way to connect with schools.
And I really want to stress, we're very lucky in Massachusetts, outside of having like a huge university like Penn State or something like that. We do have a variety of different kinds of schools. We have some rural schools, suburban schools, urban schools. So if you're not sure, if your student's not really sure what kind of campus they want to be on, it's a great opportunity to, go and visit different campuses sometimes in the beginning you don't even really have to worry about your GPA or your SAT scores. Just get a feel. Go into Boston, go to Northeastern, then head over to BU, and then go to Emmanuel, something like that, just to get a feel. You have Stonehill, you have a variety of campuses to try to get that idea of what do they feel, how do they feel comfortable. Sometimes students think they're going to be really comfortable, like, oh, I really want to go to a city school, and then they get on a city campus and they're like, maybe not so much. So, or the other way around, like they get to a rural campus and realize there's literally nothing around. So, I think we're very lucky in that way that we can drive. So I would really encourage families to go and do some of those visits. And I think the other thing is we tend to think that we are, as students and families, we need the colleges. Well, we're in a little bit of a different time frame now. Yes, the elite colleges still have that ability to kind of have the coach, but a lot of the colleges need you as much as you need them, and they're trying to figure out who's going to actually come there. So if you're really showing an interest and you're, as Ms. Bowman said, going to visits and you're signing up for things and you're following them on social media and you're on their website, they're more apt to think that you're coming, and they're more apt to offer you an acceptance letter. If your friend is applying to the same school but isn't doing those things, and all things considered, they're trying to figure out who do I have a better chance of landing. So make sure you do those things. It's really important.
So in the beginning, it's crazy to think that like over a month ago, we recently just had a college fair with a really great turnout. And I have to say, like the juniors are really, really participating. That's a great way to engage with schools and ask questions. There may be a school that a student never thought about and found out they had this great program. So again, that was just a month ago, and we'll have another one next year for their senior year. But again, it's just a great way to connect with schools. And we also really encourage students to check like their Google Classrooms. I know Ms. Prue is really great about communicating via email, but throughout the school year, we will have, admission reps and officers come to school. So if there's a particular school that maybe you're interested in, we highly, highly encourage that you sign up for those just like info sessions that are during the school day. They take note of who are going to those and are showing interest. And again, it's a great way to hear about a school, and maybe you might hear something that maybe you're like, oh, I don't really like that too much. That's not what I'm looking for in a school. Or maybe you attend a session that you never thought of. So we always really encourage, if there's a school you're interested in, to attend one of those days when they're at the school. And then just a few weeks ago, most juniors, if they signed up, just take the PSATs. Again, that's just a practice test. I know many students have received their scores. So this is a great way to kind of gauge where you're at. Sometimes students feel a little defeated if they didn't do as well as they did. So we always encourage, take it again later on in the year. And then some students do it in the summer. But the biggest thing I always say is, though, kind of keep an eye on your SATs, because I know a lot of seniors right now, they're wanting to retake their SATs, but you have to keep in mind those deadlines. Again, this is something that will help in the springtime and in the beginning of your senior year, but just kind of keep a deadline of when you want to take your SATs and how you're doing engaging on that piece. And I know a lot of students will reach out. The best way to sign up for SATs is to go into College Board, and also for ACTs as well. That's where you'll find like the most up-to-date of when test dates are, registration, and those things. And then we also do offer fee waivers. So if you want to know if you're eligible or have questions, just reach out to one of us.
The other way students ask sometimes, how can they practice? Back in the day when we had paper tests, we used to run a Saturday morning practice. But now everything's digital, and College Board actually through Khan Academy has free digital practice tests that students can take. Honestly, it's statistically, it's the best way to improve your score is to actually take practice tests. It gives you an idea of the questions, the format, and so forth. So it's free. You just have to go into College Board or ACT.org, and they have those opportunities for you. So again, it's a great way to kind of get a feel for what it's going to look like, how it's going to, what the time frame is going to be, all of those factors.
And just for quick reference, these are like the remaining, or at least up until like the springtime, the remaining test dates for both SATs and ACTs. Again, it's really important that like if you're thinking maybe you want to take it, I know I have one student in particular who's taken it in March, just making sure you're, registering before that deadline. And again, like Mr. Searcy said, practicing in between those and studying is a really great way to prepare for those.
I just want to say, sorry, I just want to say one thing. The students this year, the seniors, really put off a lot of my students, the testing, taking SATs until the fall of their senior year, which I definitely would not recommend. You definitely want to do like Mr. Searcy and Ms. Bowman said, as much as you can in the spring. And even if there's some over the summer, because you definitely do not want to be trying to squeeze in a test in October, November, or December, especially if maybe the school itself, the college is test optional, but the program that you're going for, like nursing or engineering or something, requires your SATs. So you definitely want to give yourself time and start that. It's January, February, as soon as you can.
You can also, if you take it earlier in your junior year and then you take it a little bit later, you can, some schools will super score, right? So if you do better on the English version, reading version on one test than the other, but you do better in math, that sometimes happens, right? So you do that second test, you actually do math. A lot of schools will take the two scores and combine them to get your, the best combination for you. So if you give yourself time to do that, and again, we're hoping that, our juniors will hear this and our families will hear that. Let's get the search process done now so that you can start to really get those next pieces like the test scores and so forth, done and ready so that the application process is a lot smoother and you're not trying to senior year, fall of your senior year with everything else going on, trying to do all your applications and get your tests done. And that creates a lot of stress for kids that really isn't necessary if they kind of take one step at a time.
Mm-hmm. So definitely like Ms. Prue and Mr. Searcy were saying, like just ensuring when you're researching programs that, the program you're not applying to is not looking for SATs. Because again, many schools now are test optional, but please ensure like you're looking at making sure like if you do need SATs, you're setting those scores. But again, if you're thinking of going test optional, I know lots of students always ask like, will that hurt me? What would that look like for my application? It really just depends on the school and programming, but also knowing that schools are going to be looking at like academic performance, especially your junior years, one of the most important years. Any leadership roles that you have in and outside of school, looking at classes that you've taken, rigor of academics, any extracurricular activity involvement, community service. If you're working outside of school, that's something I write in brag sheets all the time. Letters of rec for students is, what they're doing outside of school, looking at your personal essay and other course selections based on, the school, things that we offer at Norton High. And just to repeat some information, there's lots of free online resources. There's some that you have to pay for too, but I always tell families and students there's many free resources. So if you just kind of research a bit, but I know Naviance may have resources as well as Kaplan for SATs and studying. So these are just some free resources for you as you prepare for SATs.
One other thing about test optional, a school may be test optional, but there are programs that are not test optional within the school. So make sure that you're taking a look at that. And sometimes we get, well, don't you guys know that? There's thousands upon thousands of schools. Some of them we know very well because we have lots of kids that but there are also schools that change year to year on things. So keeping up with that often is very, very difficult. So again, checking in, talking to those admissions folks, looking at the website if you're interested in a particular major, especially things like nursing, engineering. Make sure you dig deep into the department to see what exactly they recommend or what they require as part of your process for whether you decide to go test optional or not.
and continuing the conversation of, any SATs and APs and ACTs. So if you are a student who is on an IEP or 504 and receives accommodations, it's so important that you reach out to Mr. Searcy on here via email, so he can send you a consent form to a parent or guardian. We'll be able to kind of complete the process for approval of your accommodations for testing. Again, College Board and the ACT will determine which accommodations are approved and they can offer. But again, it's really important you do it as soon as possible before you're taking SAT or AP or ACT, because it can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks to process and have it approved. And then again, once it's approved, Mrs. Searcy will let you know. But again, it's very, very crucial if you're on IEP or 504 that you are putting in for your accommodations for these tests.
And there are particular accommodations that cannot be used at a typical test center on a Saturday afternoon. So we have to make arrangements through SAT, for example, to have those done during the school day. They're pretty, the most students on IEPs and 504s, those wouldn't qualify for, but there are a few. So again, the sooner you can get that to me, even now, you may not know when you're going to take your SAT, but if you know you want those accommodations, again, please just reach out, send me an email. I'll send you the consent form as soon as I get that back. I can go through the process of uploading everything. Then you'll get a letter or an email from College Board or ACT saying, "Yep, these are the ones that you've been approved for." For the most part, I haven't turned down too many, but every once in a while they do, or they'll ask for additional medical information or evaluations, just in terms of what they would like to see. So then I have to send that stuff to them, and it can take a little bit of time. So if it's something you want to use, please reach out as soon as possible. All right. One other thing you need to think about is if you are an athlete and you think that you are going to want to play Division I or Division II specifically, you must register with the NCAA. And to do that, they want to make sure that you meet all the requirements. So you can go to the Eligibility Center and you will create a portfolio, or I'm sorry, a portal, and you'll log in. There's a series of questions you need to answer. It takes anywhere between an hour and 45 minutes typically to complete. If you're in 3, you can create a profile, little less daunting. But if you're going to do Division I or Division II, especially if you want a scholarship, something like that, you will need to have that. So once you do that, in terms of test scores, when you sign up for your SATs, for example, you will get to choose your colleges that you want to send your SATs to. In that same dropdown is the NCAA Eligibility Center, and you're going to want to send your test scores there as well. And then once you've created that portal, that login, please send an email to me or stop by and let me know that you've done so. So I should say your son or daughter has done so. And I will send out junior year. I send out their junior transcript. And then what typically happens is after they graduate, I will send out final transcripts for all the students that are that have a login. So that is all done through the portal. I cannot send SAT or ACT scores. That has to come directly from the students in College Board. So please do that. Even if you're not sure, it's better to create that than it is to not create it and then decide at the last minute. I just had that happen with a student. They had not created one and they got recruited at the last minute and decided that's what they wanted to do. So it's going to be a little tight for them to get it out to the colleges through NCAA the way they need to. So next steps in student responsibilities. So for the fall and winter, research the colleges and careers using Naviance. And then once you get a feel based on what you've put in, get onto the websites, look around, stay on there. By the way, they track a lot of them. So they know if you've been on, how many times you've been on, how long you've been on, which pages you've been on. So it's that you're very much interested. We joke, sort of. Well, there's TV, stay on, click on a few pages, move around, because they will track that. Go on those campus tours. Obviously, if they're far away, it's a little bit difficult. And you can do some virtual tours. But again, if you're looking to go down south or out west or out of the country, if you can get out there and actually see them in person, I think that's really important. We can't tell you how many times students have said, "Oh, I'm going to go to this school. I'm really excited to go to this school," and then they get there on a tour and they are like, "Ooh, I don't actually like that school." Once they get there, so virtual tours are great, but remember they're giving you their best pictures and their best AI versions of their campus. So getting out and actually seeing it, tasting the things is really important. As we stress, think about your plan to take the SAT and or the ACT. Because, as we said, this year we've had a number of students who really waited to the last minute. Some students actually wanted to apply early. They could not do that because they hadn't gotten their SATs done early enough. So again, doing that at the end of your junior year. And many of the topics that are covered in the SAT will be fresh in your mind because they're often from many of us, especially the math is something you're covering your sophomore and junior year. So if you wait until, the fall of your senior year, you've lost some of that, or the memory of some of those math in particular areas. Continue earning those community service hours. This kind of we have two approaches. Kids do lots and lots of different things. Some kids decide I'm going to do one or two things, but do it really well and be very involved. I think in some ways that might be the better approach, but however you decide to do it or your student decides to do it, I think is really important, but make sure they keep up with that because that's important stuff for their application process as well. So with that, there's a chat feature. If folks have any questions, please type them into the chat. Like I said, we are here to help you folks. We will be doing a version of this with the juniors really soon. We've already begun having some of those conversations with them. And so especially in the spring, as the application process comes, we'll be working with them more and more. But we are here to help answer any questions now or down the road. So please, please let us know if you have any questions right now.
We have two questions.
We do.
The first question,
there they are.
Does Naviance include any international colleges or universities? I know from my there are some international colleges and universities, but I don't believe there are every college and university.
I would say I know when I had a student apply to a couple Canadian schools, some of them were in there. And then the schools that I had a student apply to in Europe, either last year or the year before, they were not. So again, like Ms. Bates said, some might be, some might not be. Other countries also do have different platforms. So to be aware of that, it can make it very difficult. Not that you shouldn't apply if you want to, but it can make it difficult with the application process because of the time difference and also if there's a difference in language. So there's a lot of things to look into. And then there are also websites with counselors that are specifically, that's their job, is to help students from the US apply to schools in other countries as well. So
I would say if you're looking to do that and ahead of time, please reach out to your counselor if possible so that we can one, be aware. So if we're not able to use Naviance, what other either platform or what other way do we need to get the official transcripts to the school, the letters of rec, and those kinds of things. There are occasionally other schools in the U.S. too that don't use Naviance, and we have to kind of work with that as well. All right, Ms. Bates, can you see the rest of them? Because I'm having some issues on my end with technology here.
We have 4 now. So the next question is, For Naviance, can I create a parent account or should I log in under my child's account credentials?
So I would say you work with your child and log in that way. I think that way you'll see what we're going to see. Just make sure that you're, how do I put this nicely, not doing it for them, so that they're aware, especially when we meet with them, that these are the schools that are you've put in, these are the deadlines, and I think that's really important. Make sure they have the deadlines correct as they go through. Again, that's the application process, but you can sit with them, I think, and use it together. I think that makes the most sense.
You could create a parent account, but it does not have the access that the student has. It's very limited access. So it's using
It
that
won't
your
get you the
child
things you
probably
want, to be honest.
Yeah.
The things you want, you're going to have to go through and do it with your child.
The next question, are college campus visits excused absences?
Yeah, yes, they are. I think it's, oh, now I wish I think it's 3 that you can do for that are excused. There's a form that they need to fill out. If they can come down to Mr. Marchand and get the form, and they need to fill it out for each one. They have to have the teachers sign off. It's basically letting the teachers know where they're going to be and that they agree to do any work that they miss.
And our last question so far.
Oh, and also the parents will sign off because we want to make sure that you actually know they're on a college visit. And that's actually where they went.
Yeah.
So.
The last question is, I printed out the NHS college planning guide, but it says 2019 to 2020. Is this the current version?
Oh, we need to update that. So I'll have to go and look and make sure that we update that dates. So yes, I believe all of the websites are up to date, but if not, please let us know. I missed that 2019, 2020. So yeah, we update it every few years, although it's due for another update, probably next summer. Any other questions?
Nope, that is it.
All right. As we said, if you have questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out to your guidance counselor or to me. We'd be happy to assist you in any way we can. Again, I think the stress here is to really be active in the search process, understand help your student understand maybe what they're looking for in a campus, what they're looking for in a size. How far away do you want to be? Obviously, financial questions are always there. One thing we would say when we do our financial aid nights is don't look at the initial sticker costs because that can be quite alarming at times. But based on financial aid and merit and so forth, sometimes those initial sticker prices are not what you're actually going to pay. But obviously, that's something to discuss. So having those discussions now, I know that can be difficult for certain members of our adolescent population who don't have a clue. But that's why we go out and visit and try the different types of colleges. Yeah. So I think just being active in this process now will make it a lot less stressful come the spring and the summer. You'll be a lot further along than others who don't take that active approach. Any other questions? All right. Well, with that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Again, this is recorded, so if you have family or friends who did not have an opportunity to see it, they can go to the website and see it. And thank you, Ms. Prue, Ms. Bowman, and Ms. Bates for joining us. And everybody have a really good night.